Hello and welcome. It is Tuesday, the 4th day of April 2017. My name is Derek. Welcome. And let's take a look at the Bela chart and the Bitcoin charts, two time frames for each. The best way to get a hold of me is via email, and that's under endlessmountain2008 at yahoo.ca. These are zeros, not the letter O's. I get a lot of comments and via these vids, and they've been great. They've been awesome, and keep them up. But I am also not able to see them all. And as well, if I'm going to show the charts that I choose to show, the ones that I am interested in, and that's basically how it's been, and will continue to do so. But if there's anything that you want to see, don't hesitate to get a hold of me, because for just a very low transfer, I can do a nice in-depth analysis on practically every single code within multiple time frames as well, which is like so amazing to be able to have access to all of the data, so you can send an email. Also, I know within Coinbase there's a notes section, and you can send it that way as well. And now let's move on to the charts. Let's start within the Bela. I haven't talked about this in a few days, but bull flag, sideways consolidation. You can even make this that wedge format. But when I see this even further, the band has managed to catch up, so it's another correction through time. Very strong setup, I would definitely see this as. And as far as the upside target, 10,781. Usually these things pierce, and extra, that is. Pierce extra might be the best word. Where if you think it's going to hit that level, then it's more likely to hit 11,000 than it would 10,781. And these things are very big on the even numbers. It's really amazing that it's more likely that exactly 11,000 would be a top compared to any close number in its ballpark proximity. It's interesting to say the least. And well, this high is 9,000. So there's an example right there. This is exactly 9. Anyway, throwing that point aside, it usually pierces above these numbers. Now, I've got written on here within the wedge consolidation that I got, and I will show a shorter time frame, because you really got to see what's going on here. We can see within the Fibonacci that the 8,050 level, which connects this high and this low, or the range, is what the price action is in at 1050. It's actually at 8,100 now, but it's the exact same price, really. And let's move this on to a shorter time frame, and we'll use the 2-hour chart for such. And this is about test number 7. There's here, almost here. This was a big fail here because it was so much away from it. And you have here, and then the first test would have been this one, because we're connecting this high and this low. And right off the bat, even this Fibonacci level comes in, hits resistance, back to a pierce above previous low. This area is supported, both resisted and supported, wedging around, supporting, and here it's supporting it again. So the entire time I've been going over this code, which would be used for Bela Pick, Instagram competition where people would use these coins to pay authors and artists. It might be a better word, but this code has been working with Fibonacci extremely well. Now, I've already given you the upside target, which is an area where you might be looking to sell. Now, as far as a downside target within the exact same range, 5610 is the area, which coincides with the resistance at the end of March before this move to its what now is the all-time high in at 9,000. So now that's the Bitcoin analysis. So with any type of request you have, I can go in large depth, in-depth analysis with so many different time frames, put all of the different key fib levels that I can find. And yeah, that's what we can do. So the daily chart again within this format, it's looking like it wants to break out. I would think in the fact of this 18 average, it's now lifting off of such. And whenever you can lift off of this in a correctionary mode, then that's a strong situation. So it's going to be a matter of days, I would think, today, tomorrow, maybe by the end of the week, where I would expect a nice green candle like this or any one of these. I don't know about this big, but they're always possible to have these massive ones, but just a good green candle up with suspected resistance in at around 11,000. And then again, we'll get to Bitcoin in a second, the suspected support on the breakdown, if there is 156.10. I think it's more likely you hit the 11,000 mark before you'd hit this one, but that doesn't mean it's going to go that way, because I think it will. But the chart setups are very strong. I like this uptrend, by the way, on this 2-hour chart. Let's now move on to the Bitcoin. And this last level here is looking, it's breaking above it. The previous high, it's, well, a higher high now. It's a decent sized pierce if you call it such, but today's action just recently finding support where the previous resistance barrier comes into play. The current phase, what's the story of the market? Because you had this uptrend, this downtrend which resisted once, but it didn't resist lower the next time. Rather, after the consolidation here, it has a small move, consolidation here on 2 days, and a nice move yesterday. Therefore, the story of the market after this is, well, this was the band test. This was the trying to get out of the band. This is establishing resistance. So it's at that phase. It's already went up enough for me to say, yeah, this is high enough. Even this would be high enough too. This would be a little too high. So any move back to this band, and notice how it's starting to rise. I've stated this before within it. It's going to start to go up, so it doesn't have to go down too much more to meet it, and it doesn't have to go sideways for that much longer to meet it as well, which would be that correctionary move. Once you get that, the break of whatever the resistance is right now in here is the setup you'd be looking for, what you'd be expecting to be a nice bull run on the for multiple days on this time frame. Okay, so now let's go on to the weekly chart for Bitcoin. This trend has been maintaining, and I'm going to say this again. Notice the pattern when it leaves this band, and here it left it. It leaves it at around under 3 or around 3, and it goes up closer to 5. Then it leaves the band here. It leaves the band around 470. It goes up to about 750. Okay. Then it leaves the band here. It leaves it at around under 7, and it goes up to about 1200. Here it leaves the band, and it doesn't go as high, but it still makes this move up to here. And now that's what the attempt is, to leave the band, because that's what bull markets do, is they hit some sort of new high, usually an all-time high. They come back to it for support at some period, and then eventually, not that much longer after, will make another run higher. So the story's remaining again in here, and it's still on the attempt to do such, because if this thing starts to go down, I'm not going to say this was a failed breakout. It's still in that correctionary phase, really. But if you see the price action now moving closer to 1200 and definitely breaking above 12, then it's going to be into that phase of establishing resistance, because this is correctionary phase, leaving the band, and then establishing resistance. But because this market is already bullish, I'm not looking to establish resistance to revert trend by any means. Rather, I have the all-time high that would be the next resistance, and on any hit, if there is that such of resistance, you'd be looking for a correction, 38.2%, even 61.8 from whatever the key low is, or previous resistance. That's the things you'd be looking for on those corrections. And then it's not always the case that's going to pull back like this, because if it keeps going, it's like, oh, well, not a surprise. I guess this area will be support. And that's on the if situation. Okay, that it would be everything that I have been wanting to cover for today. Take care.